Good morning from New York to all gathered from many locations around the world, from the Americas, via Africa and Europe, all the way to the Pacific. Welcome one, welcome all. A reminder, we have interpretation this morning in French, Spanish, and Portuguese. You can access it by clicking on the global icon at the bottom of your screen and choose your language. I am Winifred Doherty, your NGO representative at the United Nations. We are live on Zoom presenting a parallel event at the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Our event is entitled Girls and Women Impacting the Digital Era. And the hashtag is Girls for Gender Justice. You can look forward to an interesting and stimulating event as girls share their digital journeys and experiences with us. The girls have been engaged at multiple levels as global advocates, as innovators, game makers, and poets, while addressing the many negative experiences coming from social media sites that impact them, by promoting good cyber practices in Asia Pacific, and secure digital networks for the exercise of girls' rights in Latin America. A new term, tech-facilitated gender-based violence, has developed in the lead-up to the Commission. You will hear from girls today on how some of them are experiencing this new form of violence without having connectivity or devices themselves. It is a significant moment in history with a giant leap forward in digital capacity. At the global level, this presents an opportunity to harmonize technological innovation with humanity's highest wisdom. At the end of this first week of the Commission, I have heard strong calls from girls all around the world and from women presidents and women parliamentarians alike that tech-facilitated gender-based violence must end now. Thank you for joining us. Before I introduce our moderator, I want to acknowledge our dedicated interpreters, Anne-Marie, Daniela, Delia. The girl mentors who lead across the continents, Sashi, Alfredo, Ernestine, Bernadine, Kimberly Maloche, my colleague in the GSIJP office. Thank you to each and everyone who collaborated with me and with us in the office to make this event happen. Let me hand over to our moderator, Crystal. Crystal is 18 years of age and is from Sri Lanka and is sitting her final exams in October. Crystal is planning to study law. Crystal, as a moderator of the Asia Pacific event at International Day of the Girl in 2021 and 2022, and now at the CSW67 event. Crystal told me that these experiences have been massive eye-openers for her. Crystal is keen to be a girl advocate and sees herself advocating into the future. Crystal is also blessed with a singing talent and makes song covers at least once a week and has a plan for a singing career. So without further ado, I hand over to you, Crystal, and thank you very much for moderating this panel. Crystal, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Winifred, for that lovely introduction. A very good morning, afternoon, and evening to all present here today. I am Crystal, a student from Sri Lanka, and I'll be your moderator. Today, we've got an interesting event in store for you all, and I believe that internet access is a human right. During this time, we will be listening to the voices of the girls from Latin America, Asia Pacific, and across Africa who will share their views and status on the digital revolution. As powerful girl advocates belonging to the Good Shepherd Global Family, we share our realities and hopes for complete and equitable digital access to all girls and boys. We are united in the belief that each one of us has the power to shape the destiny of our nation and care for our Mother Earth. With increased digital access, including girl-specific digital education and digital literacy. To elaborate on our program this morning, we have got 3 segments. The first is from Latin America, addressing secure digital networks for the exercise of girls' rights. During the second segment, the panelists from Asia Pacific will share on good cyber practice and application. The third panel presents experiences of girls in Africa from the East Coast to the West Coast on lack of digital access. Before we set off, I would like to specially appreciate the girls from Good Shepherd Philippines who have been engaging ardently over these last few weeks in the Girls' Caucus. Girls' Caucus is a public forum for girls to discuss the progress at CSW in regards to the interests and needs of girls, to review the zero draft document of agreed conclusions of the Commission, to propose policy, make edits, and introduce new language as it relates to girls, as well as to develop advocacy strategies for use during CSW67 and beyond. This is a building block which determines the direction of the International Day of the Girl event in October. Isabel and Kylie have actively contributed to the series of conversations around the priority theme of CSW67, innovation and technological change, and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. As we applaud them for this collaborative effort, let us listen to their share of the caucus experience.
Hello, everyone. I'm Isabel. I am a member of the coordinating team for this year's Girls Caucus.
And I'm Kylene, one of the facilitators for Girls Caucus.
So thank you for having us at this parallel event. So now let me just ask, Kylene, what is the Girls Caucus?
I got you. The Girls Caucus is a forum of girls responsible for reviewing the Zero Draft and girls' recommendations and providing feedback on the language, content, and structure, utilizing their unique perspective and past experiences. And during the process, we had the opportunity to collaborate with girl leaders across the globe. As you all know, this year's priority theme was innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. So, what was the process during the Public Girls Caucus? First, we held a brief orientation and introduction for girls advocates and for those who are not necessarily included with the team. Considering the lengthy document, we figured it was efficient for us to break out into groups that will be handling specific paragraphs of the Zero Draft. Personally, I handle the paragraphs targeting the fostering gender-responsive digital and science and technology education in the digital age. In each group, we suggested and discussed on numerous relevant matters, such as the language, structure, content, and essence of each paragraphs. After the Girls Caucus, we reflected back on our experiences and what each of us had discussed. And lastly, the facilitators compiled the suggestions and conclusions to produce the girls' recommendations document after each session, which will be sent to the UN member states.
Thank you for that, Kylene. So now that she detailed the caucus process, I will be giving an overview on the girls' recommendations. So we found that for this specific set of agreed conclusions, girls call for more emphasis on girls and all their diversities in the document and the importance of their digital access and accessibility, the means to have quality public education programs that promote digital and media literacy for girls, among other things, digital education as a fundamental right, and digital training for all institutions, especially educators and family members, for the prioritization of girls' mental health, especially in the context of media exposure, for mandatory requirements for mechanisms that mitigate the negative impact of technology in society, but especially for girls, and for the effective legislation that serves to protect girls from and to reduce technology-facilitated gender-based violence, as well as effective support systems and justice systems to make sure that this legislation does not go to waste. And finally, a guarantee for menstrual hygiene and contraception to be available relief items in the event of natural emergencies or conflicts. So all of this stemmed from a series of discussions between girls from different countries and different organizations. And it was actually nice that there is this diverse group of girls because we learned something new from each other. So for example, this one, a guarantee for menstrual hygiene and contraception. I was actually surprised when this group from Madagascar and the Ivory Coast suggested contraception because it isn't necessarily something that you'd think first of asking for when you're in this particular context, but this is actually their reality. And while it's unfortunate that this is something that they have to think of, it's nice to be able to learn that this is a need and for it to be represented in this document. And so now that we have the girls' recommendations, what exactly do we do now? Okay, so there's always the virtual Vienna Cafe. So this is a series of meetings with member state representatives to lobby our recommendations. And in our experience, I was actually able to attend one session last week, and I was in conversation. I was in a group with a member or a representative from Latvia, and you'll be happy to know that as well I was lobbying for technology facilitated gender-based violence. I mean, for the measures against that, they're actually very adamant about protecting girls from this particular issue in the agreed conclusions. And then there will be conversation circles, which are digital space to advocate for girls' rights in specific contexts, such as economic justice, climate chaos, education, violence against women and girls, and queer rights. So I believe all of this will start on March 15th. So there are a lot of things lined up for girls' rights in the CSW67, and caucus is just one of them, as well as this parallel event. So once again, we have been Isabel, and
And I have been Kylene, and thank you
thank you.
so much for having us.
Thank you, Isabel and Kylene. And let us show our appreciation for Isabel and Kylene by using the emojis on Zoom and express our solidarity with them and the girl activists who are now present at CSW67. And now let's give a warm welcome to Vivian as she moderates the next segment in Latin America, engaging her friends from Ecuador and Bolivia. Vivian is from Ecuador in her final year in school. She is an active girl advocate, and she represented us all at the International Day of the Girl 2022 in October at the United Nations. Over to you, Vivian.
Gracias, Crystal. Sí, la representación del Día Internacional de la Niña en las Naciones Unidas fue una experiencia maravillosa para mí. Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. Mi nombre es Vivian, tengo 17 años y soy de Ecuador. Gracias por invitarme a moderar el segmento Latinoamérica, titulado Red Digital Segura para el Ejercicio de Derechos de las Niñas. Estoy presentando a las niñas de Latinoamérica que quieren ejercer y reclamar sus derechos. Con la ayuda de mis colegas, Paulina,
with the help of my colleagues, Paulina and Camila, I would like to talk to you about the reality of the girls' life in countries like Bolivia and Ecuador. I am a part of a group where girls from different regions of Latin America have had leadership training in secure spaces. Our conversations dealt with the rights of girls after the pandemic, where many situations arise and where lifestyle have changed and our behavior has changed. There was good experiences and bad experiences as well. And what is most important is the use of digital networks, because it is really very important for us in terms of health, in terms of education. The development of technology is an opportunity to have access to a world that we often don't have access to, a world of knowledge that can help us to exercise our rights very concretely, a world in which we are included. What we're going to say today will highlight what the girls are doing, what they feel in terms of the advantages and the inconveniences of the digital world, and also how to encourage good practice. We have a project at the moment promoted by the International Foundation of Good Shepherd, which provides us with the means of acting as girls. This project is a digital platform so that we can have spaces for conversation between girls in different parts of the region. And it is thanks to these types of experience that digital networks give us the opportunity to communicate together across the continent to be able to promote the rights of girls. I would like to present Paulina and Camila. Good morning. Welcome to our segment on Latin America. I'm sure that everyone is impatient to hear about your experiences. Could you, Paulina, share your experience with us? Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Paulina. I'm 12. I live in Ecuador. I don't go to a Good Shepherd college. And as has already been said, since last year, I participated in the process for the empowerment of girls and for leadership training. This enabled me to see and to recognize the many aspects of situations that we girls live and experience with respect to our rights and our role as leaders in society. Spaces of conversations with girls from other countries have enabled me to realize that being a young girl in Latin America is a real challenge. Often there's discrimination against girls. Our development is restricted, and the opportunities that are offered to us and the exercise of our rights as well is limited. Access to quality education, to health services is not ensured adequately in rural areas, especially because there's insufficient support from the state. Moreover, families themselves do not give priority to the needs of girls. They do not understand. Society doesn't understand, does not appreciate the way that the girls have been discriminated against in families in terms of access to education and to healthcare, which is given mostly to boys. But this is essential. The girls are essential to the development of our country. Thank you. You have shown how girls suffer from discrimination. What have girls learned about technology during the pandemic? Before the pandemic, there were networks in Latin America, but we, as girls, we were faced with the digital divide. Uh, During the school, during the pandemic, digital means were used in school, and we were able, therefore, to continue our studies despite the restrictions that we had to um, cope with. With this new digital world, there's a great opportunity that has been opened to us girls to have access to spaces that before that we were not able to access, to be able to exercise our rights and indeed to know about our rights. We were able to use technology to communicate with others, to develop relationships distant, and to be able to continue with our lives. What you said is true, especially with respect to the way we were part of networks. How can we continue to use these tools? The fact that we have returned to normal life has given us learnings, but also challenges. We could make use of the positive aspects, better education, better communication amongst ourselves in an equitable way, without any restrictions linked to age or the fact that we're girls. We took advantage of the opportunities that were offered to us to learn and to strengthen our position. And we are ready to face the negative aspect of social media. Digitalization in Latin America can only be achieved by good governance and laws on the regional and national level. All platforms need to have surveillance. They must be supervised. Um, and to avoid harassment, we ask our families, local communities to understand that times have changed and that the voice of girls is now. It's a great challenge. We know that we have to use all the opportunities that are offered to us. I'm sure that we will improve our participation in Latin America. Now we are going to listen to Camilla. Welcome, Camilla. Could you talk to us about you? What is the present situation in terms of the use of digital means in Bolivia? Thank you. My name is Camila. I am 14. I come from Bolivia. I live in La Paz city. I participate in the program for girls and adolescents within the congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd. We participated in a process of empowerment and leadership of girls with other girls in my neighborhood. Our reality in Bolivia is very similar to what happens in the rest of Latin America in terms of the use of digital networks. Uh, uh, the fact that our life is influenced by whether we know or don't know about digital networks. It's no longer a luxury now, it is a need. Before, our mothers and fathers taught their children to be part of society, but with the development of technology, we girls are those who teach our parents how to use technology, emails, phones, and so on, and doing things online. Thank you. That's a very interesting point. Girls who teach their parents um, how to use technology. Now, your experience of the internet, do you think there are obstacles to the development of girls? Of course, being able to have access to networks is an advantage, but on the other hand, girls are exposed to cyber harassment, pornography, trafficking. There are many other crimes that, so we need to look at the realities when we have access to the internet. You need to know how to use cyberspace because there are many criminal activities that try to draw girls in, and girls are vulnerable to this. Parents who know nothing about protection or the digital world are unable to cope with such threats against their girls. Yes, there are many situations, but sometimes there are risks for girls when they go into spaces they're not familiar with. We see this every day. Do you think that what should society do to look after girls, to prevent them facing these dangers? Since there are dangerous sites, the first reaction of parents and authorities was to restrict access to these spaces to protect girls. But this situation punishes girls. It prevents them from having complete access to information. And the solution, the most logical solution, would be to draw up and implement policies that take into account the protection of girls. It is important to ensure that the remedy is not worse than the ill. Girls must have access to the virtual spaces, and these spaces need to be secure. Thank you. This was an excellent summary of the possible dangers of digital networks. We know that the networks can promote the rights of girls. It is essential now that we commit ourselves to promote policies not based on restricting access for girls, uh, wanting to protect them. We should, on the contrary, ensure that the spaces are secure, um, so that rural girls can have access with quality services to try and reduce the digital divide between the city and the rural areas, to create awareness amongst parents and the population at large about the dangers, but not only the dangers, the advantages as well. Uh, we have to obtain a change in the favor of girls. And we can only achieve this if we all commit ourselves to equality and non-discrimination. Thank you, Pauline, Vivian, and Camila. Now we are going to give the floor to Christel for the next segment.
Thank you, Vivian. And hats off to our moderator, Vivian, and our two panelists, Paulina and Camila, from Latin America, who've shared their voices and drove some truths home on secure digital network for the exercise of girls' rights. I feel the power in this digital space as we connect in solidarity and engage in these conversations which are so significant. Moving on to the other side of the globe, without further ado, I would like to invite all to watch a short video made following IDG 2021, when girl advocates from Good Shepherd Asia Pacific came together and expressed the urgent need to know about and promote good cyber practice, following which is a 6-month-long program to sensitize the adults on safeguarding measures to be undertaken in the best interest of all stakeholders was launched. Kudos to Good Shepherd Asia Pacific for being a trailblazer. That was quite insightful and had many valuable messages for us. Now let me introduce you to our next group of panelists from Asia Pacific, Jasmine, Susan, and Teresa. We have Jasmine, who is a young climate activist from Good Shepherd, Chennai. Jasmine has prepared an interesting way to bring us all to the table and have tough conversations. Jasmine will be joined by Susan, who is an 11th grade from the Good Shepherd School in Chennai, a girls' rights advocate and someone who believes that change starts within her. Finally, I am delighted to welcome our adult champion, Ms. Teresa Simons, who is from Good Shepherd, Malaysia. Teresa has been a pillar of strength and guidance to us all, especially as we ventured to act upon our thoughts as young girls' rights advocates. Thank you, Teresa. Now, over to you, Jasmine, to lead us through an exciting time of co-learning.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I hope you can see the presentation. Okay. So as Kristen said, my name is Jasmine, and I am a student at the Good Shepherd School, Chennai, India. We are actively involved in advocating for climate justice and gender equality through technology. We are the digital generation, and it is through this that we can achieve women and girl empowerment. Some of the programs Good Shepherd Chennai have been involved with are collaboration with NGOs such as Bhumi and Pratyek. Recently, we participated in a process organized by Nine is Mine to draft a formal response to the UN Draft General Comment 26 on the children's rights and the environment, with a special focus on climate change on the digital platform. Apart from various conversation circles, we came up with a game to teach and spread awareness on his ecological rights, as it is essential for every child to know them. I acknowledge my schoolmates, Maria Akshaya and Anahita Miranda, for preparing this activity. One of the best ways to connect with Generation Z is through digital games. We used the age-old game familiar to all parts of the world, Snakes and Ladders. I invite Susan, my senior from school, to play with us. Susan, are you ready?
Hi everyone, I'm Susan Persis, a 16-year-old student from Good Shepherd School, Chennai, India. It's an honor, in fact, to be a part of this amazing initiative taken to create awareness. Once again, thank you so much for having me. Over to you, Jasmine.
Okay. Just a second to fix the screen share thing. Thank you for your response, Susan. So are we ready to play Snakes and Ladders?
Yes, we are.
Okay. So I hope you can see the presentation. Okay, let's begin. Sorry with the technical issue. Okay, so let's roll the die. So we get number 4. So we jump to 4, which is right. Number 4, which is parents' responsibility. So let's talk about parents' responsibility. So we heard something about parents with children just now from Latin America. So I would like to say that it's every child's right to have good education, shelter, food, and most importantly, the love of a parent. It is the responsibility of the parents to nurture the child with good values and lead a good example for the child. For example, during COVID times, it was the responsibility of the parents to provide the child with a device to attend online class. And as we heard, there were many children who were not able to attend classes because the parents couldn't provide them with a device. Okay, do you get the hang of the game? Shall we toss again? Okay, this time we have number 5. So we skip from 4 and we jump 5 steps to 9. The 9th right is illegal removal of data. So why do you think hackers target children? Well, it is because they are innocent and vulnerable. That's what Latin America just told us, that children are vulnerable. So it's the same everywhere. So that's why we have the same point as well. So that is why we are all here today, to spread awareness on these rights, to protect children from hackers and cyber dangers. It is important for every child to be aware that hackers are always there in the form of cool video games. Kristen, could you please tell us something about this?
Indeed, Jasmine, and to mention, adults who lack adequate knowledge on digital platforms are equally susceptible to being victimized as well. Jasmine, do you suggest some initiatives that could be necessary to educate the ignorant society?
Yes, Kristen, let's toss the die and see where it takes us to search for the answer. So in number 9, we had a ladder taking us up to 29. which is government accountability. Okay, ecological right number 29, government accountability. Okay, let's talk about our government, where I live, in India. Our government has made many cyber security initiatives, like conducting awareness programs, creating cybercrime reporting websites, and we even have a cybercrime helpline number. I would like to ask Mr. Riza if she can comment on government accountability.
Thank you, Jasmine. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be with you at this event. Thank you for inviting me to comment on government accountability. I would like to quote the UN Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, who said, "Collectively, our task is to help design environments that can connect everyone with a positive future. That is why we need a common effort with collaboration among national and local governments, the private sector, civil society, academia, and multilateral organizations." This call to action clearly shows that cybersecurity is a collective effort, and governments need to ensure that there are laws, policies, and procedures in place to protect users such as you and I, and to regulate the usage of the internet and computers in general. So here, we are talking about digital rights and responsibilities, and how important it is that technology advances inclusion and equity, especially for women and girls in developing countries. This is recognized and affirmed in the Sustainable Development Goal 4 on quality education, where indicator 4.4.1 measures how many youths and adults have the right information technology skills, giving them a path to better jobs in the 21st century workplace. Hence, good government policies on cybersecurity ensures a safe space for the inclusion and participation of all, especially women and girls. Over to you, Jasmine, for the next toss-up.
Thank you, Teresa, for your wonderful points and very valuable points. Okay, let's roll the diagram. Okay, we get 2. So we jump from government accountability to 31, which is privacy and security. So privacy and security is a very important point for cybersecurity and safety. Susan, could you please tell us a few tips on how we can improve on privacy and security?
Sure, Jasmine. Good morning, afternoon, evening to everyone. Today, I would like to talk about an important issue that is becoming increasingly important in the world, cybersecurity. With more and more learning happening online, it's essential that we take steps to protect ourselves from cyber threats. First of all, let's talk about some of the cybersecurity concerns. One of the biggest issues is the protection of sensitive information, such as personal data, financial information, and records. Hackers can target anyone and are on the lookout for vulnerable victims to gain access to sensitive data, disrupt operations, or steal intellectual property. This can have severe consequences, including reputational damage and financial loss. So what can we do to protect ourselves from these cyber threats? Here are a few tips. The first one being, use strong passwords. This might seem like an obvious one, but it's essential to use strong passwords for all our online accounts. You need to make sure your password is at least 12 characters long, includes a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Your second point will be, keep software up to date. Ensure that all software, including antivirus and firewall programs, are up to date. This will help prevent vulnerabilities from being exploited by hackers. Your third point will be aware of phishing scams. Phishing scam is basically a common way for hackers to gain access to your information. Be careful when opening emails or clicking unknown sources. Your fourth point will be use a virtual private network, VPN. A VPN can add extra layer of security when you're connecting to the internet. It encrypts your internet traffic, making it more challenging for hackers to intercept. Educate, and your final point will be educate yourself and others. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Educate yourself and others about the risk and how you can protect against them. So in conclusion, cybersecurity is an important issue that needs to be taken seriously. And by following these tips, you can stay vigilant and we can protect ourselves from cyber threats. Thank you.
Indeed, Susan. Along with expecting society to acknowledge good cyber practices, it is our responsibility to do our own part in securing our personal privacy. And securing personal privacy will lead to the decline in the risk of cyber threats. Thank you, Susan, and over to you, Jasmine.
Thank you. And thank you, Susan, for those valuable points. Okay, let's roll the die and take it further. We got 2. So from 31, we go 2 steps to 33. And 33 is trafficking. So trafficking occurs not only physically, but also on the internet. All of us here may have heard of cyberbullying and cyber trafficking. And also we heard that from Latin America. To prevent all these dangerous events, we follow a set of rules called cyber safety rules. It is very important to make people aware of cyber safety, especially children, as they are more vulnerable. Susan, can you please comment on cyber trafficking and cyber safety?
Yes, Jasmine. So now I would like to talk about a real life shocking incident that happened to a young girl my age who was a victim of cybercrime. She, like many other teen girls, was unaware of the dangers lurking in the cyber world. As she proceeded without caution, she fell into a trap. She went through many harrowing days and cyberbullying, not knowing who to turn to and finding it difficult to confide in family or friends. This is something in recent days is happening with greater frequency. The people involved in this crime are still large and continue to remain great threat to many others. This can happen to anyone, and hence it is important to be cyber secure and cyber wise. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. So we forgot to see the ladder, which is at 33, which goes up to 49. So let's go up the ladder to right 49. So right number 49 is report. Okay, let's see what we can say about reporting. So of the cyber safety rules that I told you that are very important to block cyber trafficking and cyberbullying, reporting is one of the main steps for cyber safety. Susan, can you please tell us something about reporting and how important it is?
Yes, Jasmine. Any form of cyberbullying or breach of cybersecurity, however minimal it may seem, has to be reported and brought to the notice of authorities. Now, I would like to hand it over to Teresa ma'am to share her thought as an adult practitioner. Ma'am, could you please share your thoughts on this?
Thank you, Susan and Jasmine. As a Good Shepherd organization, we are duty-bound to ensure that safeguarding protocols are in place for children and vulnerable people. This includes having appropriate workflow processes to respond to reports of possible abuse or violations. It is important that all of us understand that safeguarding is a whole community approach, meaning everyone who is connected to Good Shepherd has to ensure that our premises are safe for children and vulnerable people. Hence, you will find that Good Shepherd has capacity development sessions on safeguarding for all who work with and are connected to us, from the general workers to teachers to the principal and board members and all Good Shepherd sisters as well. No one is exempted. And Susan, you may have just shared just now that Good Shepherd also creates awareness in children and their parents. And this strengthens the whole community approach. And the safeguarding policy, as you mentioned, is a blueprint or a map towards achieving this. There is much to do. You rightly said there's much to do. And it's important to acknowledge that the work has begun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarita and Susan. And Jasmine, it's been so refreshing to see how all of you have managed to pull off snake and ladders. Thank you, and it's been a privilege to have all of you aboard. So it's a wrap with Asia Pacific. And once again, a big thank you to all our panelists who've done a fantastic job in empowering all of us joined here today. Now, our third panel takes us to Africa. We will begin with a short video posing the question, who is better off? So, who's better to educate us on this subject than our next panelists from Africa? Isn't internet access a human right? Our panelists, Atabile from South Africa, Daisy and Ayola from Uganda, and Mirana and Malala, two sisters from Madagascar, will discuss lack of digital access. Our first panelist is Atabile, a 15-year-old student from South Africa who has been an incredibly active girl advocate. I've had the pleasure of working with Atabile in October of 2022, where she joined us for ITG. Atabile shared her story of advocacy against domestic violence, and her strength impacted us all. Atabile joins us today to discuss her experience with the lack of access to technology, along with the poem she prepared. So over to you, Atabile, and it's a pleasure to have you joining us from South Africa.
Thank you, Crystal. My name is Atabile. I am in grade 11. I live in South Africa, in a suburb named Boysenpark. I am a girl who enjoys speaking up and sharing opinions about my experiences. The internet can either have positive or negative impact in society. In my community, we don't have access to the internet. I, myself, don't have a cell phone, but I experienced cyberbullying at school. When I was in grade 9, a boy made a fool of me on social media. It hurt me, but I was able to conquer it. Last year, when I was in grade 10, Another incident happened. A boy in my school took my picture and posted it in social media without my permission or knowledge. Many students laughed at me and passed negative remarks. Instead of being suicidal, I was motivated to write my poem about the internet, which I share now. Oh, the internet, a blade that touches my arm and watch me bleed. A bully thinking I'll plead, but I'm just calm. Oh, the internet, a bully that suffocates me just to watch my life slip away. A bully that is the frozen heat who strangles me just to watch me bruise in the way. Oh, the internet, driving girls out of school, drowning them in pools of cyberbullying, emotional abuse. Yet you think it's cool? Oh, the internet. I thank you.
Atabile, it's truly incredible to see how you have gained confidence through your experiences. And we are indeed proud of the steps you have taken in enlightening all of us. It's crucial that we eliminate such incidents, and your voice surely plays a strong role in it. Your voice is our future, and I salute you. On to our next panelist, Mirana from Madagascar. It is an exciting time because Mirana will be discussing her first time experience using Zoom and engaging in CSW. This sharing will help you to recall your own digital journey. Take it away, Mirana.
Merci Christelle de m'avoir donné
Thank
la
you, Crystal, for having given me the floor.
Je m'appelle Mira, j'ai 14 ans,
I'm
je suis
14
une collégienne en classe de
and
3e.
I go to school. I'm in the
Malala et ma sœur, et nous sommes ensemble depuis
Malali and
quelques jours.
myself,
La première fois que
we
j'ai Zoomé,
are together.
j'étais
The
nerveuse,
first time I
j'avais
went
tellement de
on Zoom, I was so
participants,
nervous. There was so many participants and I didn't know any of them.
incité mon désir
And
d'en savoir plus
but
sur
after
les
this first
ordinateurs
experience, I wanted to know
et comment
more
me connecter avec
about
eux.
computers and
Permettez-moi
internet.
de partager avec
I
vous
will
mes
share with
expériences
you
et mon
the
point de vue
experience
concernant
and
le
my
sujet
point
que
of
nous
view
discutons
on
aujourd'hui.
the subject we've
J'étudie
been
dans
talking
un
about.
collège jésuite
I
en classe de
study
3e.
in a Jesuit
Tous les
college
lundis,
in
nous
the
avons
third
la
grade.
possibilité
Every
d'avoir
Monday,
des cours
we have
d'informatique
the
en langue
possibility
maternelle
of
avec eux.
having
Nous
a
n'avons pas de relation, donc
technology
nous apprenons
lesson.
juste Word et Excel.
We
Nous sommes
just
44
learn
en classe,
Word
dans ma
and
classe.
Excel. There are
Nous
44
partageons un
pupils in
ordinateur
our
et
class,
une
and we
télévision.
share a
Je suis
computer
très heureuse
between
d'avoir
three of
l'opportunité
us.
qui nous est donnée
I'm very
d'apprendre
happy
et d'utiliser tous
to
ces
be able to
technologies
have this
et de
possibility of
partager
learning how
aussi
to use
dans
digital
le monde entier.
tools and to talk to
C'était vraiment
girls all
intéressant
over the world. It was
sur
so
ce que j'ai
interesting to
ici où nous
be
parlions de
on
la
the
Commission de la
caucus
protection de la
and to
femme
listen to the
et
girls who
d'entendre
were talking
aussi
about the
parler de la
commission
technologie.
and to
Je
hear
voudrais savoir
girls
plus
talk about
quels avantages
technology.
et quels
I want to
désavantages
know more about it
mais
and I
nous
want to
comment
be
je
able to
suis limitée.
use internet. But for the
C'est
moment,
car beaucoup de
I'm
filles
very
à Madagascar
limited,
qui ne
very
peuvent pas aller à
restricted. There are
l'école
many
ou
girls in
qui savent
Madagascar who
lire
can't
et
even go to
écrire.
school, who don't even know how to read and
Mais de
write.
ce fait, il y a un
It's
effet de
poverty.
pauvreté.
But
Il y a
today
beaucoup de
there
pauvreté.
is an
Mais
additional
ces
poverty that exists. These girls are not only illiterate, but they're also digitally illiterate. They are radically poor, and it is a real obstacle to empowerment. There are many girls in Madagascar who have never seen or even touched a computer. This is my little experience, and I would like to uh, advocate the use of computers, and that every girl and child should have access to a computer. I've asked my parents for a telephone, but my father said no, not for the moment. You're still underage. And too much bad influence on the internet. This is a minimal technology. So I say, how old will I need to be to have access to technology? It's my first language is Malgache. My second language is French, but all meetings are in English. So it is important, and it is. I'm so convinced that I have to learn English that I've started. It is the language of the world, so that I could share my experience with everyone. The digital world is important now, and access is absolutely fundamental. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mirana, for sharing your first experience with Zoom. It has truly enlightened us about the plight that girls in Madagascar endure. This highlights the urgent need to make social and systemic changes which can impact all the girls and provide equitable access to technology. It is also interesting to point out that girls in rural parts of Latin America deal with the same issue of lack of access as those in Madagascar. And as shown in the opening video, who's better off? As Paulina mentioned previously, the government's inability to provide internet access in schools in rural areas need to change. The video ended with, "Isn't internet access a human right?" And the girls respond, "Yes, digital rights are human rights." Now, let us watch a video of Daisy and Ayolo, two girls from Uganda who are sharing their stories about the lack of access of technology. This happened through the collaboration of Sister Helen Taube, a member of the missionary congregation of the Evangelizing Sisters of Mary in Uganda. The sisters have a catechetical and social ministry, are very aware of the needs of girls, and wanted to have girls' voices and experiences in Uganda heard. We are grateful to Sister Helen for these video clips.
A pupil at St. Gonzaga Primary School. I'm 13 years old. I stay with my mother and brother. I am here to share with you the life of access to technology. When we were locked down for 2 years, I used to hear about technology, but I didn't know what was the meaning of that. And I used to hear people learning online. And I used to ask my mom, what does online learning mean? She could not interpret it to me because she is not much educated. So I used to see my friends holding smartphones, learning online. They used to say, I lack data. And I used to, what does data look like? I said that data was a person, yet it wasn't. So when I was at our school, our teachers used to teach us about the projectors, computer, tablets, and I used to ask my teacher what was a projector, and he used to tell me that a projector is something which you can watch on news, and I thought that a projector was a car. So like some international schools, they learn on smart boards, but first we don't have a smart board because our government is poor to get that each school has a smart board, because we have many schools in Uganda. So as a girl child and also those other girl child, I appeal that they also get access to the computer and smartphones, tablets, and I appeal that a girl child should not shy away to learn about modern things, because the world is going ahead. Fastly, and I would like the girl child to learn about the electrics, like that yaka thing which they brought. Some of us, we don't know how to use that meter box of theirs.
I'm Latoya Brenda, 17 years old, a student at Junior Comprehensive Senior Secondary School. I'm in Senior 3. I live in Uganda. Today I'm here to share my experience about lack of access to technology. During COVID time that took almost 2 years, whereby the students were left home, it was really hard for some of us, in that online studies were going on, whereby some of us lacked even the televisions, smartphones for making research and also online studies. So it really became hard for some of us. We ended up just hanging like that without getting the knowledge about computer use. Also, lack of knowledge by some of our parents about the computer use. Some of our parents are not even educated. Well, when they even told us, the parents, to be helping us with some few unit from home, they were not able because of the knowledge that they lacked. So when school time came, we went back to school, but with no knowledge about the computer use and also online studies. Another thing is insufficient funds to purchase the data, because for one to get access to internet, you should be having the data for making at least research, online studies, and yet in other schools, students were really studying using those equipments being given up to them. So we were just there trying to get some things from them, but still we couldn't because of the money we lacked. Because at that time everything needed money during the COVID time. Another thing is lack of computers at our schools. Our school is really a big school, which has big number of students, but with only 3 computers. So most of us were left behind and couldn't get the access to using the 3 computers. So we really desire to be given more computers at our school.
I am shocked to see the similar plight of my friends in Africa. There is much work to be done for marginalized girls oppressed by powerful institutions, so as to enable their voices for advocacy and representation. Every girl across the globe should be at the digital table of conversation. Now, let us listen to Malala, an activist representing girls from Madagascar, who has been actively engaging with the Good Shepherd advocacy programs. Over to you, Malala.
Merci Christelle de m'avoir donné la parole. Je m'appelle Malal, j'ai 16 ans, je suis de
My
Madagascar.
name is Malala. I'm 16 and I come from Madagascar. I am in the senior year, and I'm very happy to be able to share my experience on this panel with respect to technology. I became aware of the importance of digital technology in October, when for the first time I participated in a virtual Zoom meeting with Sister Ernestine. I was a panelist to defend the rights to education for all. In February, I also participated in the Girls' Caucus to work on the draft. And this has opened my eyes, and it has enabled me to learn. I didn't even know what a Zoom meeting was. After that experience, I understood it was absolutely fantastic to see several people in a virtual space. I was stunned by the progress of technology. At school, I was very excited to share my experience with my school friends. Our discussion was very animated, and each one of us shared about what our parents think about technology. According to our parents, technology is for boys, not for girls. We don't have permission to have a mobile phone because they're afraid that this technology might ruin our education. It might draw us away from culture. We don't have any means, any money to buy a telephone or to get a phone subscription. It's very difficult to control because there's a very negative influence on technology today. And so they say that girls are exploited online. There are negative impacts, as we saw in our group discussions, but in my opinion, they are factors that can be overcome, and that it will enable greater gender equality. This is why we continue to appeal so that the whole generation can have the right to digital innovation. We do have internet, but it's not enough even to use it for our studies. The cost of the connection is very high. We just can't, our parents can't afford it. I know that there are thousands of girls who are in the same situation as I am. Online teaching in Madagascar existed during COVID, but many pupils could not attend them, and they couldn't continue their studies because they didn't have the money to pay for the internet connection. This lack of access to technology increases inequality and creates a digital divide. I would like technology to be accessible to all girls without any discrimination. It is an essential means to achieve gender equality and empowerment. My dream is that no girl or no boy should be left by the roadside. We must be able to share in development that takes place all over the world. I would like that there be internet centers established in the community, and that we have education in terms of technology. Thank you for your attention.
Malala, it is great to see you voicing out your concerns and demands. This is the first step to unite and advocate for girls' rights in Madagascar. And I think adults need to be sensitized about this without delay, that you and I will be on the same page soon. Thank you once again, and we are indeed privileged to have all of you as our panelists joining in from Africa this morning. Your voices indeed project your leadership, and it's undoubtedly vital to have such activists in our midst to lead the forefront for girl-specific solutions. So now it has been over an hour that we have been listening to the powerful voices across the globe, and the message is the same. Girls have every right to digital literacy and safe access. So now the floor is open for questions. We will request the support of the interpreters to translate the questions posed in different languages. Please kindly use the raise hand option if you wish to ask a question. And you may also post a question on the chat box. So we would like to have all our participants joining in the text in the chat boxes. So if you've got any comments, please feel free to insert them on the chat boxes. And we've got quite a lot of participants joining in today with quite a lot of comments as well, which are extremely motivating to all of us today. We would also request our participants to kindly unmute to say anything that you would want as a comment to today's webinar.
Crystal, it seems that we do have a question from Gail. In the chat box, it says, how is it possible to overcome the cultural challenges against technology for girls?
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. So would we have any of our panelists ready to answer the question?
As a reminder, the question is, how is it possible to overcome the cultural challenges against technology for girls? Crystal, maybe you'd like to answer that question?
Okay. So how is it possible to overcome the cultural challenges against technology for girls? So as all of our panelists have joined today in elaborating on this question, it seems that all of our countries are different, and Asian moms could be different, African moms could be different, but then as a common answer, it is that along with the conventional aspects and along with COVID as well, we have to adjust with what's happening to our country. So it will be best for parents as well as everybody to accept the situation and open up to technology and give your children, give girls, give boys the opportunity to, I guess it's a good investment as well to like invest on internet, because it's obvious that it's going to give you a good impact. So culturally, I guess it's best for us to be open-minded and to take a step and to not be disappointed with your choices. So along with negativity, along with positive, so there's negative aspects, there's positive aspects, but I guess it's going to be beneficial for us if we take the positive aspect of it and move on with getting along with this situation. So yeah, take a step forward and let's move on with digital rights.
Well said, Crystal, well said. The next question is from Florentine. She has her hand raised. Florentine, could you unmute yourself, please?
Ok, je suis Sœur Hortense de Madagascar. Merci à tous les
Sister
panélistes.
Hortense from Madagascar, thank you for your very interesting presentation. I would like to share.
Si je parle seulement
There
ici,
are many places, and in Madagascar, near Mozambique as well, there are many places where there is no network to have access to telephones. So I think that
de technologie,
in terms of technology, there is great inequality. It's not only access to internet connection, but here there are even places where there is no phone access either. There's no phone, there's no network of any sort. Thank you for the presentation of all the girls. It's true that there is a great inequality between girls and boys, and I don't know how we can overcome it, especially in terms of technology. And we see that that there is great discrimination against girls, that rights for boys and rights for girls are not the same. Thank you very much to all those who are trying to achieve this equality.
Thank you so much, sister, for that lovely response. And thank you so much for engaging along with us today. So would we be having anybody else who's ready to take a step and join us with today's conversation?
Crystal, I think we might have to wrap up as time is approaching, but
Sure, Kimberly.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and that was an amazing engagement along with enlightening responses. Over to you, Vivian.
Bien dicho, Kristen. Nuestro panel es la evidencia de que el cambio está en nuestras manos.
That the change is in our hands. The doors of the world and the world itself, it might be a dangerous place, but we can make it safer for us, for our children. We can unite and we can make a change happen, a necessary change, and it is a right, in fact. Thank you very much for encouraging us and for having listened to our voices. Yes, we really have to ensure that our voices are heard so that this change can happen. And we are now going to hear about change.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Vivian, for introducing me to this platform today. I'm going to be sharing some thoughts which have been bursting in me from the time I have been listening to all of you. I start with a familiar quote. Swaraj is my birthright, and I shall have it. The famous words by the late Indian freedom fighter, Bala Gangadhar Tilak, comes to my mind. And I rephrase it as follows. Digital access is my right, and I shall have it. This is the slogan which I came across in different tones from all the participants in the panel today. We are at the crossroads where artificial intelligent teachers, the robots, have replaced teachers like me in one side of the world, whereas many other parts are still clamoring for a roof called as a school. To change a system, we need to have the courage to step into the unknown. It is time we awaken our consciousness from my right to our right. As an educator, an environment builder, I have three responsibilities before me. One, intention precedes action. I have to kindle that spark of intention to be an advocate for oneself and others every day through my education. To every child I come in contact with. If you restore trust, hope, and resilience in people, then their actions become an intrinsic thing. Well, the second point, I have to shift the outer space of learning where every student is a change agent. We met some of the change agents here just now. And I have to hold the space for that change of heart from me to we, constantly acting as a catalyst. You know, my presence bringing in that change is so important. Well, we have commenced the Good Shepherd Me to We lab in India, where educators and students can connect, explore, and co-create advocates who will collaborate and voice their rights. I hope that this engagement has a ripple effect. Okay, to point number 3. I have to shift the inner space of learning so that every student thinks just not with their head, but also with their heart, hand, and soul. This will encourage every person to know their responsibility as a change maker. Okay, we have good news for all of you. This panel is only the beginning of more conversations, training, and resource sharing across the digital platform so that the gaps between the haves and the have-nots, between Jasmine and Malala, Paula and Marina, is bridged. So I take this opportunity to ask every participant here to share one hope for attaining this digital access for all, this digital right for all. We will be having a link to the Mentimeter, which I have just posted here for you. And here is the question. What is your one hope for securing your digital rights? One hope for securing your digital rights. And the responses which come in different languages, I invite Crystal and Vivian to read. So let's see what are the responses coming.
Thank you so much, Sashi ma'am.
What is your one hope? May I share the responses? I can see some of them are already coming in. Crystal and Vivian, are you happy to read them?
Sure, ma'am.
Go on, go ahead.
Support of parents, inclusion,
Empoderamiento de niñas, participación, inclusión,
Empowerment, inclusion, opening,
respect, gender equality, the girl child, technology, creating awareness, solidarity, respect, embrace the equity, universal access, openness, inclusion, change, together, love, a better and safe future, provide resources. Got quite a lot of responses coming in. That all may have access to computer. Okay, so we've got to wrap that session. So thank you so much, Sashi ma'am, and undoubtedly, you've succeeded today as well in touching the hearts of everyone present here today with your words. And as we draw the curtains on today's panel, we extend our heartiest gratitude to all our participants who've joined in impacting the digital revolution. On behalf of the girls, I express my solidarity with the innumerable girls or warriors in war-torn countries and vulnerable situations who are far from engaging in such conversations. I believe that each one of us is obliged to be their advocates. And hats off to all our panelists who joined in from time zones around the world for a job well done. Thank you for your efforts rendered towards making CSW67 an empowering and promising session this morning. And a special thank you goes out to all our interpreters, mentors, and Good Shepherd mission partners who have steered us towards powerful engagement. Sister Winifred and Kimberly, words are not adequate. Thank you for enabling this very important platform, bringing Good Shepherd girls into a global movement. Together, we can make better tomorrows. Thank you.